Right, now today I want to deal with Austin 7 camshafts. Now the camshaft is a very important part of the engine because it controls the rate at which the valves open and shut, and the timing of those is also vitally important. So the first thing I want to do is to show you a standard Austin 7 camshaft. And this is a standard camshaft. It's out of a chummy of some sort, I guess. But it's got a cast iron gear on, which is off an Ulster. But the fact is that these camshafts have a bearing at the front, a taper on which the gear fits, like so, and then there's a brass bush that goes here, which controls the position of the cam and also the amount of oil flow that goes through to the camshaft. And also the center bearing is also critical because this particular one has a shallow, narrow roller bearings that fit in the center camshaft bearing. And the other thing you have to watch is the fact that the rear main bearing, the rear camshaft bearing, has two sizes, one of which is smaller than the other. And you can't fit that into some crankcases, otherwise you lose all the oil flow into the crankcase. So that's a standard camshaft, and it's been cleaned up and so on. So that's fine. The number is an IA208. Now the next one I want to show you is a Nippy camshaft. Now the Nippy camshaft is quite different from the standard one. The lobes are much bigger and they're concave as well, and the center bearing is longer and it has bigger diameter rollers in it. So you have to have a different center camshaft bearing fitted in the crankcase, and the crankcase has to be machined out to take it. Otherwise you can't assemble it. And the reason is because you've got to be able to get these cam lobes through the bearing. Now the other thing is, because it's a later car, it has a lobe on here which activates the fuel pump. So that's the fuel pump lobe there. The back bearing is the same as the standard one, but at the front it has a bronze bearing like so, and you have to be careful when you're assembling this that you get it the right way round, because that little hole there actually controls the position of the bearing in the crankcase, and that one has to line, the element has to line up with the oil gallery, and sometimes they get like a spider's web of grooves out of here where the oil has escaped, and that's not necessarily a good thing because it gives you some oil loss. Now the other thing you have to watch is that the front camshaft bearing has a much bigger taper on it. And again, it's a machined from the solid gear, and it fits on the camshaft like so. But you have to watch the length of this bearing, because if that's too tight, it'll bind the camshaft up and it won't work very well. So what you have to do is to fit it to there, and then fit the camshaft bearing on the front, camshaft gear on the front, and check that you've got a certain amount of end float on there, because otherwise it's going to bind. So you have to, this one's too long, so you'd have to machine a little bit off it so that it'll fit on there. Right, so that's the camshafts. I think that's probably all I can say about camshafts at the moment. These are the only two I have at the moment. This is a Nippy one, and the other one's a standard one. And you can see the difference in the size of the lobes. Okay, thank you very much. That's camshafts.